Hi, it's Stephen DiPietro from servicewithpurpose.net. Be careful of how you measure your managers, because sometimes it can create so much scarcity that you put your long-term business at great risk. We measure KPIs such as seats, yield per seat on airlines. We measure the average takings on a plate in a restaurant. We might measure the number of home loans you process a month. But be very careful, because sometimes those metrics can create scarcity. Now, I use an example here of an airline, Qantas. I'm a gold frequent flyer, which I've mentioned previously, which is the second highest level. What that means is to keep that level, I have to keep flying, and that in itself is an incentive, because I don't want to lose the benefits of the status, but it means that I actually do pay more for my air travel for that privilege. As soon as I do all I can to stay up on that level. I'm about to go off to a trip to Istanbul in Turkey. From Australia, from Sydney, Qantas has cut a lot of services to Southern Europe. They only now fly to London and to Frankfurt, and then you have to code share. So to go from Sydney, apart from a stop on the way to refuel, I have to fly right over Istanbul, over to Frankfurt, and then I have to fly back again on Turkish Airlines to Istanbul. Now, for that privilege, I have to pay an extra $1,000 on a $2,500 fare. So that's an extra 30-40%. Now, it gets to a point where you say, I ain't doing it. I can't do this anymore. So I'm not going to fly Qantas. I'm going to fly Emirates, which will be interesting. Then what's happened in the previously actually is that I had to go to Europe, to Asia, and I flew Singapore Airlines. Now, in Singapore Airlines, I had an awesome service, and again, I ditched Qantas for a lot of reasons. And now, where I find myself is that having not flown Qantas as often as I would otherwise, I'm going to lose this gold frequent flyer status. Here's the problem though for Qantas. As soon as I drop from gold down, I stop flying them because the incentive's not there anymore. I haven't got the other little perks. So I'm going to stop paying the extra money and the inconvenience and the poorer service, to be honest, of flying Qantas. So I'm not going to do it. So be careful of the KPIs, because we've got people there who've got KPIs that they're measuring. They're obviously being measured on yield per seat, but it's actually taking away from the overall revenue of the airline. The other problem is that in order to increase the yield per seat, you stop flying to certain destinations because it's not efficient, because it's too complex, because whatever. So you lose a lot of this convenience. And the scarcity is actually it's not only creating a higher yield, that sounds great, but the scarcity is actually getting to a point where you can't get it anymore and you stop buying it. So imagine a graph. It's got profit on one axis and it's got scarcity on the other, with high scarcity out the end. When you're down the bottom here, you're just starting, your profits are low, but you've got a lot of overcapacity. And you can quickly go up with the old scaling economies, and as you grow quickly and get more efficient. You get to a point where you start to reach capacity, and what's happening now is, rather than reinvesting in the organization and investing in production, a lot of companies are cutting back to increase the revenue and increase their returns from what they have today. But then what happens is your better customers get to a point and they just drop off in real sudden cliffs, and then they level out and then they drop off again, until eventually you actually don't have much of a company left. You've become so scarce that you don't have anything left to sell people. So be very, very careful of how you measure your managers, and be very, very careful of this scarcity, and make sure you keep reinvesting. Thanks again for listening in. It's Stephen DiPietro from servicewithpurpose.net, and have an awesome day.